Okay, let me ask you a question. Be honest with yourself. How do you feel around 3 p.m.?
Oh, man, 3 p.m.
Do you need a coffee? Do you want to just curl up under your desk for a nap? Or do you get that feeling, that irritable, agitated, maybe even a little angry feeling, hangry?
Okay, confession time. I am 100% a 3 p.m. slump person. And that feeling, that absolute wall of fatigue, is always followed by this intense, like, non-negotiable need for a cookie.
Right.
And it always feels like a personal failure, Like a weakness or a character flaw I just can't seem to fix.
I have some really, really good news for you then.
Huh?
It is absolutely not a character flaw.
Oh, thank God.
No, we're doing an immediate diagnosis here, right from the source material. Those symptoms, the brain fog, the fatigue, the cravings, they aren't signs of weakness. They are very clear messages from your body.
Messages about what?
They're signaling a recent glucose spike
Right.
and the crash that always follows.
A spike? Wait a minute. I always thought that was, a diabetic thing. Are you telling me that a normal, non-diabetic person like me is walking around on a blood sugar roller coaster all day?
Absolutely. And that is the huge game-changing insight from Jessie Inchauspé's book, Glucose Revolution. The science shows that a shocking something like 88% of adults probably have dysregulated glucose.
88%?
Yeah, even if they aren't overweight, even if they aren't pre-diabetic. So our mission today in this deep dive is to shift your mindset. We're moving away from that agonizing calorie counting and into simple, effective glucose management. It's all about hacking your biology.
Okay, I am so intrigued. Because that high and low feeling, I've had that since I was a teenager. But here's the question I always come back to. If I eat something sugary for a quick hit of energy, why do I feel like I need to go to sleep 45 minutes later?
Right.
If glucose is fuel, shouldn't more fuel just mean more energy?
Okay, yes. This is where it gets really, really interesting.
Right.
Because the problem isn't the amount of fuel. It's the velocity, the speed of the delivery.
Velocity.
To really get it, we need to use an analogy. Let's call this the steam train analogy.
Okay, hit me with the mechanics.
So think of your body's cells as the engine of a giant steam train.
Okay.
And inside that engine, you have these tiny little workers called mitochondria. Their job is to shovel coal, which is glucose, to keep the engine running smoothly.
Right, workers shoveling coal. Steady work, steady energy.
I'm with you. Now, a glucose spike from, say, a soda or a piece of white bread that is like backing up a giant dump truck and dropping a whole truckload of coal into the engine cabin all at once.
Whoa, okay, that sounds chaotic.
It's total chaos because the workers, the mitochondria, they can only shovel coal at a fixed, steady rate. They can't suddenly work 1,000 times faster.
They're overwhelmed.
Completely. And when you dump way too much fuel in way too quickly, that velocity issue again, the coal just piles up.
So the train is literally being suffocated by its own fuel.
Exactly. The engine chokes. It starts spewing out this black smoke, which is actually inflammation and oxidative stress in your body, and eventually the whole system just shuts down.
And that shutdown is the 3 p.m. crash.
That's the crash. That's the brain fog, the fatigue. And what's worse, that spike actually damages the workers for the next shift, making it harder for them to produce energy later on.
So it's the speed that causes the blackout, not just the calorie count. That makes so much sense now. I can eat a huge salad and feel amazing, but a small pastry with fewer calories can make me feel instantly awful.
Precisely. And, the consequences go way beyond just a little afternoon slump. Those repeated spikes, they cause this silent long-term damage. The sources link it directly to accelerated aging and chronic diseases like acne, arthritis, even Alzheimer's.
Wait, accelerated aging?
Yeah.
Now you have my full and, frankly, terrified attention. What kind of damage are we talking about? I thought aging was just, time.
It is. But we can speed up the timeline. Okay, let's use another analogy for this one. This is the toasting bread analogy, and it explains a process called glycation.
Glycation. Okay.
You can basically think of it as internal browning.
Hold on. You're saying we're slowly toasting ourselves from the inside out?
Yes. Very, very slowly. When our glucose levels are constantly spiking, we're turning up the heat on that toaster. High glucose causes sugar molecules to literally stick to proteins all over your body. It's an irreversible process.
Like, once the toast is brown, you can't make it white again.
Exactly. You can't unburn it.
So which proteins are we browning that matter the most?
The big one is collagen.
Oh, no.
Yep. Collagen gives structure to your skin, your joints. When it gets glycated, it becomes brittle and stiff, and that's what contributes to sagging skin, to wrinkles, to joint pain. I mean, this process is so serious that people with type 2 diabetes who have chronically high glucose are 4 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's.
Wow. Okay, that really puts my afternoon cookie craving into a much scarier context.
Yeah.
So how do we stop the toast-in process? How do we flatten that curve without just starving?
That is the good news. That's what these hacks are all about.
Yeah.
The goal is to keep our insulin levels low and steady because high insulin is the root cause of so many of these problems.
And why is keeping insulin low so important?
Because insulin is the storage hormone. When insulin is high, it's basically shouting at your body, stop burning fat, store this energy right now.
Ah, so if you're spiking all day, you're just locked in fat storage mode.
You are logged in.
Yeah.
The secret is to keep insulin low so you stay in fat burning mode. So let's get into the hacks. Hack number 1, eat foods in the right order.
Okay.
The rule is super simple. Vegetables first, then protein and fat, and carbs and sugars come last.
Wait a second. If I eat my bread last, I still ate the bread. The calories are the same. How does just changing the order reduce the spike? That feels like a magic trick.
It does feel like magic, but it's just physics. There was a huge Cornell study in 2015 that showed eating in this order cuts the glucose spike by 73%.
73.
73%.
Oh,
And the insulin spike by almost half. It all comes down to the fiber. Let's use the mesh in the sink analogy.
okay. My small intestine is a sink pipe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you eat the vegetables first, the fiber creates this viscous mesh inside the pipe, like a screen.
A net.
A net, yeah.
Mhm.
And that net physically slows down the enzyme that breaks starch down into glucose. So the glucose can't just rush into your bloodstream all at once. It forces a gentle trickle instead of a flood.
You're building a defense before the sugar even arrives. That's smart.
Okay, next up, hack number 2. Choose a savory breakfast. That traditional sweet start to the day, cereal, toast, even a big fruit smoothie, is a massive problem.
I am so guilty of this. I always thought my morning smoothie was like the healthiest choice I could make.
It feels healthy, but you're pulverizing all the fiber, so it's basically just drinking sugar. And here's the key insight. A breakfast that causes a big spike starts a destructive glucose roller coaster for the rest of the day.
A roller coaster.
Yeah. That first spike makes your body overreact, which leads to a bigger crash, which makes you crave sugar sooner. And then your lunch causes an even bigger spike. It's a vicious cycle.
That's why I need that cookie at 3 p.m. It all starts at breakfast.
It all starts at breakfast. The solution is to go savory. Eggs, avocado, full-fat yogurt, things with protein and fat. It keeps the trap flat and gives you steady energy all morning.
Okay, I can do that. I can swap the juice for eggs. But this brings me to my most important question, the one I always have.
I think I know what's coming.
But wait, are you saying I can never eat a donut again? Because this all sounds great, but a life without dessert feels incredibly restrictive.
And this is the most freeing, most revolutionary part of this whole deep dive. You can absolutely have the cake. You can have the donut. You just can't eat it naked.
Naked? What on earth do you mean by naked?
Okay, this is the putting clothes on carbs analogy. If you eat a carb or sugar all by itself, a naked cookie on an empty stomach, the glucose just explodes into your system.
Huge spike.
A massive spike. The hack is to put some clothes on your carbs. Combine them with fiber, fat, or protein.
So if I eat the donut after I've had, say, a handful of almonds.
Way better. The fat and protein from the almonds, the cloves, slow down the sugar's digestion. So the practical tip is this. Have your dessert immediately after a full meal.
Right after dinner, not 2 hours later as a snack.
Exactly. That full stomach acts as a buffer. It protects you from the spike.
That is a revelation. That's not restriction. That's just strategic timing.
Yeah.
I love that. What about supplements or anything simple like that?
There is one. And it's surprisingly simple. Hack number 3, vinegar.
Vinegar?
Yep. Just 1 tablespoon of vinegar, like apple cider vinegar, diluted in a big glass of water about 20 minutes before a carb-heavy meal. It can reduce the spike by up to 30%.
Just a tablespoon. How does that even work? What's the analogy?
This one is the brake pedal analogy. The acetic acid in the vinegar, temporarily, inactivates that alpha amylase enzyme we talked about.
The one the fiber slows down?
The very same one. So the vinegar basically hits the brakes on your digestion speed. The sugar just hits your system way more gently. And as a bonus, it actually encourages your muscles to soak up glucose faster.
Okay, our final hack.
This one uses the muscles you already have. After a meal, just get 10 to 20 minutes of gentle movement. A walk, some squats while you watch TV, even just tidying up the house.
A post-meal walk, I always thought that was just for, digestion.
It's incredibly powerful for glucose. Your muscles become like thirsty sponges. See, normally your muscles need insulin to absorb glucose.
Right.
But when your muscles are contracting, when you're moving, they can skip that step entirely. They can just soak up glucose directly from your blood, no insulin required.
So you're mechanically cleaning the glucose out of your blood before your body has to release a flood of that fat-storing insulin.
Exactly. It's a mechanical process. You use up the fuel before it can cause a problem. It's just so simple and effective.
This completely changes how I see everything. I've spent so much time agonizing over calories when it was really about the order, the timing, and the speed of delivery.
That's the core takeaway. It's not about eating less. It's about eating smarter. We've just replaced all that calorie counting anxiety with the simple principles of glucose velocity.
And what's really fascinating, something the book really highlights, is how individual this all is. Like, two people can eat the exact same piece of bread and have totally different glucose responses.
Right. It depends on your gut microbes, your stress levels, how much sleep you got.
It makes you realize there's no one-size-fits-all diet. There are just these universal principles you can apply to your own unique biology.
And that is our provocative thought for you, the listener. Knowing that the same foods affect us all differently, will you try the Savory Breakfast Challenge for just 3 days? Will you prioritize protein and fat before your first carb of the day?
See what happens to that 3 p.m. slump.
Yeah, exactly. Tell us if you notice a difference in your energy or your cravings. We think you'll be pretty surprised by what your body tells you.
If you want to keep upgrading your brain, click the video on the left. We've selected another deep dive just for you. And hit that logo to subscribe to Nonfiction Insights for your daily dose of wisdom. See you in the next video.